Great. So I think we can go ahead and get started here. Thanks everyone for joining JASCI's webinar series today. We have a great webinar coming up for you guys with one of our customers, Dominic Martin at Stormtech. Without further ado, I'm going to introduce myself. I'm James Gibson, one of the solutions account managers here at JASCI. We also have Joe Rist on the line. Joe, would you like to make an introduction?
Yeah, hey Robon. Thanks for joining us again on one of our webinars. You're used to seeing me go through our software and go through all the different functions and features. And today I'm excited to sit back and listen to one of our customers speak on, how they were able to leverage JASCI. You might know I'm the director of solution sales, so if you have any questions, feel free to reach out, and I'm always happy to give a demonstration, or explain any of our features. But the star of the show today is going to be Dominic Martin. So, Dominic, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thanks, Joe.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Dominic Martin. I'm the business analyst manager at Stormtech, based out of Vancouver. And I'll go into more of an introduction of myself, the company, and our JASCI setup shortly.
Perfect.
Right.
So, thanks, Dominic. And today we're going to be going through Stormtech's apparel decoration and putwall logic, some of their cart configuration, right? As well as their reporting and analytics and their overall experience with JASCI. So, Dom, if you're ready to go, you can start sharing and we can hop over to your screen.
Thanks, James. Okay, can you see my screen there?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. So again, I'm Dominic Martin. I'm a business analyst out here at Stormtech. Just a bit about our company. Stormtech Performance Apparel is founded and based out of Vancouver, British Columbia. We've been around for about 50 years now. We produce technical outerwear and functional, fashionable apparel with minimalist style. We are business to business sales, so we sell 98% of our sales are direct to distributors. We have a global sales network with salespeople around the world. We have major showrooms in Vancouver, Toronto, and London in the UK. We have two different websites, one for our corporate direct to distributor sales and one for our e-commerce sales, which really is just what we use to for our clearance items. We also have a couple of outlet stores for the same purpose. And we have four distribution centers in Vancouver and Toronto, Canada, one in Amsterdam and one in Dallas, as well as a smaller one in the UK. A bit about our JASCI implementation. So the catalyst for it started when we realized the bulk of our sales were, or our North American sales were shipping to the East Coast, whereas we had been maintaining our primary warehouse on the West Coast in Vancouver. This prompted us to insource our existing 3PL warehouse that we had in Toronto and replace it with our own facility, which surpassed our Vancouver warehouse as the company's primary distribution center. We knew we needed to replace our legacy ERP system, which was running the warehouse, acting as a WMS system at our Vancouver site. So we took the opportunity to use the new build at the Toronto warehouse to implement a new WMS system. We selected JASCI because we felt the multi-tenant approach and the flexible executions were a good match for us. We need to be quite agile, having a wide customer base, a lot of different processes for different customers, and we felt that was a good fit. We went live with our new facility and with JASCI as the WMS last year in the summer. We are planning on implementing JASCI into our Vancouver distribution center summer this year. Next year, we plan to insource our US distribution center and go live with JASCI in 2027. And then beyond that, likely our European warehouses are the same. So the main purpose of this was to discuss how we handle decorations or embellishments at Stormtech. So we decorations are relatively complex with us. Only about 20% of our orders come with decoration requests. The remaining 80% we refer to as blank orders, so orders without decorations. We offer on-site decoration services at both our Vancouver and Toronto distribution centers. We also offer a lot of different decoration technologies, heat transfers, patches, embroideries, and more. And not all of our decoration facilities offer all decoration technologies. We also have off-site decorators, which will handle decoration that's not supported at the shipping DC. So, for example, we don't have an in-house decorator at our Texas warehouse, so we leverage a third-party decorator based out of Nashville or Tennessee. Likewise, we don't offer heat transfer technology out of our Toronto warehouse, so that again goes to a third party, whereas we do the embroidery and patches ourselves at the Toronto facility. We usually limit decorations to orders over 20 units, although we always make exceptions for customers. So we can have orders requiring decorations can be anything from a single item order through to multi-pallets. The decoration images themselves are handled by a central production team based out of Vancouver. They work with the customers and the decorator themselves on communicating the final graphics. So some of the challenges that decoration brought that we engaged with JASCI when we first started was we needed to ensure decoration orders don't accidentally ship before decoration. So that can be a real problem sometimes because we're managing both non-decoration and decoration orders in the same facility. Likewise, it's very important to ensure we root out all pick errors before the decoration is complete, because once product is decorated, there's not much else we can do with it. We need to support both on-site and off-site decorators, like I mentioned. Also, orders can be split across multiple distribution centers. So if we have partial inventory in Vancouver and partial inventory at Toronto for the same order, we will split that order into shipments from both facilities. Problem is we can't have decoration being split from two facilities because you can get inconsistencies within the decoration if they're done in two separate places. So we need to consolidate split shipments to decorate in one place. Also, as I mentioned, our order sizes can really range from single items right through to multiple pallets with no real clear sales channel to separate the orders. Like some companies might have e-commerce versus retail replenishment, which might be handled in two separate processes, whereas we don't have any kind of logical separation of our order types to know how to handle them differently. We also need to provide updates to the decoration production team I mentioned. They work outside of JASCI, so we need to make sure that they have some visibility into the progress of the decoration so they can provide updates to customers and monitor SLAs, etc. So some of the ways we leverage JASCI to manage these decoration problems. Firstly, I mentioned the offsite decorations. So this is relatively straightforward. When an order drops down from our ERP system into the JASCI system via the API, if the decoration is handled offsite, we will simply update the ship to address, not to be the customers, but to be the decorators. At the same time, JASCI allows us to print the customer's ship to address on the pack list so that by the time the customer receives the decorated order, it just has their details on it. It doesn't have any reference to the decorator themselves. Orders requiring on-site decoration. So our ERP will send these orders into JASCI with a VAS type code that identifies them as decoration orders as opposed to our blank orders. JASCI assigns orders with the Deco VAS type to a different work type within JASCI. So this is really when the split between decoration and blank orders happens, right at the start when it drops into the WMS. And the two different work types really follow two different paths within the facility to keep them very separate, starting with the pick. So we actually leverage completely different pick carts to pick and when I say pick carts, I mean systematic pick carts. The physical pick carts are the same ones that can be used for any type of pick. But systematically, we use different pick carts for the decorations versus the blanks to make sure that we never accidentally pick some decorated orders with some blank orders. We also have more rigorous picking standards for decoration orders compared to the blank orders. The reason for this is that after the pick, decoration orders get decorated, and any mistakes made during the pick are going to get decorated. As I mentioned, you can't then put that back to bin because it's been decorated. So any mistakes made during pick for decoration are more costly versus if there was a pick error made for a blank order, that would likely get caught when it goes through the pack station, and then it can simply be put back to bin and it's no problem. So we actually have two different standards of picking. So decoration orders, you need to scan every single item. Whereas a blank order, you scan the product code once, and then if you were picking, say, 10 or 20 of the same product, you just simply put the quantity in there. So you're only scanning the product once versus decoration when you're scanning every single product code for every item you're putting into your pick tote. When picking is complete, orders are deposited to two different places depending on whether they're decoration or blanks. The decoration orders will be deposited at our deco put wall, whereas regular blank orders will be deposited straight into the pack station. So I mentioned one of our challenges was the inconsistent order sizes. Sometimes they're very small orders, sometimes they're very large orders. So we needed a way of throttling our pick journeys to make sure they are always efficient, to make sure the picker always had a full pick cart, irregardless of whether it was he was picking large orders where you might just want one pick cart to pick the entire order versus say single item orders where you want to be able to pick say 100 orders in one go because they're just single items. So to handle that, we use dynamic pick carts to optimize each journey. So you can see this picture on the right is our pick cart, and we have set these up with different codes depending on the size of the order we are picking. So for example, PC_S is pick cart smalls. Whereas PC_L is pick cart large. So a small might represent there are 6 slots on a pick cart, so each slot might represent a single order, and each of those orders is only one carton, ensuring that every slot is filled on each pick journey. Whereas a pick cart at large, one pick cart equals one order, and that order happens to be 6 cartons large. So JASCI uses product dimensions to calculate which orders will fit on each pick cart. And we use gravity reporting here on the, you can see on the screen down the bottom here, gravity reporting is monitored by our outbound supervisor. And she will look at this and she will see how many orders are in line for each of these pick card IDs. So the profile on the left correlates to each of these card IDs here on the right. So she can see that she has 841 deco putwall orders. So she'll go and she'll send her pickers off to pick those until they've depleted a little bit. And then she sees some of the small cart orders are increasing. So she'll then reallocate her picking team to pick those. And she's able to control throughout the shifts which of her users will use pick which types of orders, and she's able to prioritize based on whether we're shipping air, ground, priority level, aging level, all sorts of things, and just really control the products and the order that they get picked throughout the day.
Dominic, I'm a big fan of how you've set up the pick carts to be more dynamic. It's something that we always recommend to our customer base. If you don't want to, have to buy tons and tons of different carts for different purposes and be able to reuse the same carts, we'll typically see our customers maybe having a discrete cart, a single batch picking cart. But what you've done here is you've tailored it to the size of the order, which is a really nice way to manage it. And using gravity alongside of that makes it super easy. So really happy to see that.
Yeah, thanks, Joe.
Hmm.
And this gives you a sort of side profile of the two different scenarios. So, for example, the small order pick cart here on the left, each of these slots represents an order. So, in this case, you're picking 6 orders. Bottom right here, you can see a medium pick cart. So, in this case, the top level and the bottom level represent smaller orders, and they can be between 2 and 3 cartons each.
Yeah.
Jumping off, so this is the gravity work management screen that I mentioned. As I say, our outbound supervisor has this open the whole day, and she's using this to manage her team. I wanted to show you the pick cart configuration as I just described it. So
And
this
this
will
cart, I was just going to say, this cart ma maintenance program is great for not only, editing and adding and maintaining different carts, but you can also see who's actively assigned to carts. So you got like some extra visibility to who's actively picking and what the status is of that cart.
absolutely. So you see here. This is a small pick cart. So this is actually one we use for the machine operators. We have machine operators set up as pick carts when they are completing case picks. So this is a pick cart that has, say, 12 slots on it. Each one of these represents a slot. And you see here the container ID. So there's a different screen, container setup, where we set up the containers as the volume based on containers, and that kind of dictates how how large an order can be supported by each slot on a pick cart, and then the number of slots determines how many slots, obviously, per cart. So that's kind of how we manage, we set up these carts to essentially make sure that every cart can handle the same volume. We just want to make sure that we maximize the number of orders being picked every time.
Yep. And you have options with the container setup. As Dominic mentioned, he had, 12 of the same container on that cart. Your container and in the container maintenance, you can set up these containers to be have limits by size, by quantity, by carrier. So you have a lot of different options on how you can set up these picking containers. Um, yeah, it's a good example here.
Yeah, so this here is really the main thing for us is the storage cube. So we really do everything with volume. We have our each of our product is set up with volume in it. It can be tricky with apparel because, as you know, it's fairly fluid because depending on how you fold products, it can change. But we've come to a pretty good solution that's pretty accurate for the majority of the time. Okay. So I mentioned that we have separate pickers doing separate picks for the decoration orders versus the blank orders. And that really keeps the two things separate because I mentioned we really don't want to accidentally pick decoration orders and then just pack them and ship them before we get a chance to decorate them because that looks bad. So the orders that are picked using the decoration pick carts will direct those orders. So when picking is finished, instead of depositing them directly to the pack station, they will be directed to our deco put wall. The picture you can see here is our initial very low-tech version of a putwall. We do plan on building out something more modern and efficient looking, but as I said, we've only been in this new warehouse less than a year, and we're still building up the racking, and we're still figuring out where we're going to put things, but we have some pretty good ideas about what this will look like when constructed. For now, it's very straightforward. We just have pallet positions that represent each putwall cube. So the putwall cube is handled in the putwall menu, and we use the putwall viewpoint a lot to get kind of a visual on the putwall. So this is the putwall viewpoint. Each of these squares here, or cubes, represents one of those pallet positions that you saw in the previous screen, and it is set up like a grid, a bit like this. So when an order is allocated to a putwall, it is allocated to a single cube. So as soon as the orders are allocated, we know that this order that's about to be picked is going to end up on this cube. And this diagram uses color code to show you which cubes are free, which cubes are already assigned, which cubes are complete, which cubes are still in progress. And that again allows us to manage the volume throughout the day to ensure that we kind of have a healthy, we all at all times we want this to be close to full, or at least full. We never want to get backlogged or anything. And so I was planning a quick demonstration of the putwall. So this is a demonstration of using the putwall to essentially consolidate an order together, because we can have orders that have each picks that need to be picked by a picker in our prime module, but we might also have full case picks that get picked by our case pickers or our machine operators from the reserve area. So they are two separate groups picking the same order at the same time. They are both going to be directed to this putwall cube, and the putwall cube is when we then consolidate those separate picks for each order. And then once they're consolidated on the putwall will tell us, all right, this one's ready to pull. And at that point, it will print out a report that has all the decoration information, and we give it to the decorator. So the menus for this are mobile putwall, and I'm going to use the put pull screen. I have some data here to help me out. So first is entering a workbench, because there is a printer associated with this. As I mentioned, we can print the reports once the cube is complete. We scan the putwall ID because we actually have multiple putwalls.
And that report that prints out, is that like from a label printer, or is that like a full-size printer?
It's a full-size printer. I've got an example of the report shortly.
Cool.
So in this case, I'm scanning the pick LPN. So this is the LPN that is on the tote that we were picking into. Oh, I must grab the wrong one. Apologies. Oh, I'm sorry, bad data. I'll just talk through it though. So I would scan the LPN into here, and it would ask me to then scan the cube ID that it'd be directed to. So in this case, back on the picture, you can see here each cube has a barcode with the cube ID. So I would scan the cube ID, and then JASCI would ask me if it's the first carton to be placed on the cube ID, it would ask me to scan a new LPN, and that LPN would represent the order now. So I scan that LPN, and now the picked carton is on the cube. If there are additional cartons or picks that are required for this order, it would wait, and then once those are added, JASCI would tell me this is ready for a pull. So at this point, it would ask me to scan the cube again, and at this point, it's confirmed that we have moved the entire order off. And as I said, this is the report that we have developed that will be spat out by that printer, and it will be attached to the order. So we then move the entire order on the pallet with this report to the decorator. And now the decorator will do their thing for around 6 days. The information on this report will give them reference to where those decoration images are that I mentioned. We have a production team producing. So that'll give the decorator all the information they need. In 6 days, when this is complete, when the decoration is complete, they will push the whole pallet to our pack station. And the packers will use this LPN barcode as a reference. So they'll go into the pack scan ship screen, pack scan product screen, or pack single screen, whatever we're using at the time, and they will scan this LPN. And now they're just going to pack the order as if it was a regular order. It will generate the customer's packing list, which will replace this deco report. It'll print the shipping labels, whether it's FedEx, UPS, etc. And the customer, and then the packer will then place it in the shipping staging location. We use the ship close screen in JASCI. So at the end of the day, when the carrier picks everything up, the associate will then go into ship close and close out the shipments for each carrier, also validating the number of cartons displayed in the ship close screen, match the number of cartons they have on the floor that the carrier is picking up. And that ship close also triggers the shipment confirmation API message to post into our ERP system, and our ERP then generates the invoicing of the customer and closes out the loop on the order. There is also a nightly report we run out of JASCI, an automated email that sends to our production team, and that just gives them a kind of a status of each order that is in the decoration process. Our two scans are basically that when you pull from the deco PutWall, that tells us that the order is in decoration. And when it gets scanned at the pack station, that tells us that decoration is complete. And they're the two kind of pieces that our production team are interested in, and that's kind of what we report on. And that concludes my presentation. Was there any questions or anything?
I don't think we have any from the crowd, but I did have a question for you. So on your pack out process after the decoration, you have options. I was curious which one you're using. If you're using the pack scan product where you're re-verifying all of those individual items that were decorated by scanning them and then packing them. Or you could just simply use that LPN that's on the decoration sheet to basically say everything on this is packed. We have both options. I think you might use the pack scan product to verify
We
each of the
do,
products.
in most cases, we do pack scan products, especially for decoration, to ensure that the decoration has the
Right.
decorator
Something
has
wasn't
placed.
left behind on the workbench or something.
Correct. We also use not so much for decoration, but for blank orders, we sometimes will use the pack and ship screen
Hmm.
if we want to bypass scanning every product again. So
Right.
sometimes we have orders that are all full cases. So we've essentially picked them and they're still in the manufacturer carton, and we're going to ship them straight out with that. So
Yeah.
in those instances, we don't want to scan every item. So we would use the pack and ship screen.
That's great. We really appreciate it, Dominic. That was very good info.
No problem. My pleasure.
It
Yep.
looks like we don't have any additional questions in the chat. Dominic, once again, thanks again for joining us here and running through that process with us. We really appreciate it, and I hope everyone enjoys the weekend. We'll speak soon.
Thanks, everyone. Take care. Have a great
Thanks,
day.
guys.
Thanks, Dominic.